Dear colleagues, good morning. Is it enough? Does it work? Yes. Distinguished friends, dear colleagues, I call to order the second meeting of the United Nations Forum on Forests at its 17th session. His Excellency Mr. Philemon Young, President of the United Nations General Assembly, Mrs. Bjork Sanchez, Assistant Secretary General for the Policy Coordination in the Department of Economic and Social Affairs of the United Nations, Mrs. Juliette Biao, Director of the Secretariat of the United Nations Forum on Forest, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor, my great honor, to welcome you all to the 20th session of the United Nations Forum on Forest. By the way, I am İsmail Belen from Turkey, a forest engineer by training. This forum is unique. It is the only global intergovernmental platform with universal membership that focuses on all forest-related issues. As the central part of the international arrangement on forests, this forum brings together member states, international and regional organizations, civil society, and the private sector. Since its creation, the forum has promoted political commitment to sustainable forest management. It has strengthened cooperation among countries and institutions, both within and beyond the system of the United Nations. Since the forest principles were adopted in Rio in 1992, this forum has achieved several important milestones. It was the first intergovernmental body to agree on global policy frameworks for forest, most notably the International Forest Instrument and the Global Strategic Plan for Forest, both adopted by the General Assembly of the United Nations. In 2015, the Forum adopted a 15-year roadmap for the international arrangement on forests with a midterm review in 2024 and a final review in 2030. Last year, during the 19th session, the Forum successfully completed the midterm review and adopted an omnibus resolution and a high-level declaration. These outcomes now serve as a roadmap until 2030. Using this opportunity, I would like to thank the former Bureau, if they are here or they are listening to us. Since the 19th session, we have seen more global developments and forest-related commitments, including those in the Pact for the Future and the outcomes of the 2024 conferences of the parties to the Rio Conventions. These again show how important forests are to solving global challenges. At the same time, the United Nations is facing a serious financial crisis. This affects all aspects of its work. In this context, I would like to highlight three priority actions. First, forest and sustainable forest management must play a leading role in addressing climate change, biodiversity loss, land degradation, and poverty. Forest action also supports the achievement of the global goals on forest, the Sustainable Development Goals, the Paris Agreement on Climate Change, and the Global Biodiversity Framework adopted in Kunming and Montreal, and the land degradation neutrality targets. Second, we need to invest in healthy forests. This includes more financing, new and creative approaches, support for science and technology, and capacity building. It also requires strong participation from forest owners, smallholders, indigenous peoples, local communities, women and young people. Third, we must improve access to data, knowledge, and good practices. This means closing gaps in forest information and building stronger partnerships, especially with those who finance and support forest-related work. I strongly believe that the decisions we make here through consultation and cooperation can inspire real change. Even a small contribution at this forum can guide national policies and actions. The United Nations Forum on Forests has a powerful and inclusive structure. It connects with governments through permanent missions in New York. It reaches national implementation through focal points in capitals. It represents all regions through the vice chairs of the Bureau. It brings together global institutions through Collaborative Partnership on Forest, CPF, and it ensures that no one is left behind through the full engagement of major groups. This forum is not only a space for negotiation, it is a place for building trust, sharing knowledge, and strengthening global solidarity. These meetings under the United Nations are moments when the global forest community comes together to reconnect, reflect, and recommit. As chair of this session, and together with the vice chairs of the Bureau, the Secretariat, and the United Nations family, I am pleased to welcome you once again. Please consider this forum your platform, your own platform. We are here to support you. Before closing, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the vice chairs of the Bureau. For the African region, I thank Mr. Abdulrahim Houmi of Morocco. I think he is here. For the Asia-Pacific region, I thank to Mr. Javad Momeni of Islamic Republic of Iran. For the Eastern European region, I thank Mrs. Maria Sokolonko of the Russian Federation. For the Latin American and Caribbean region, I thank Mr. Andres Napuri Pita of Peru. And for the Western European and other states group, I have had the honor of serving as chair representing the Republic of Turkey. I thank all Bureau members for their excellent cooperation, commitment, and collegial spirit. Sure, I also thank the Secretariat, headed by Mrs. Juliette Biao. Thank you all for your efforts, for your support. And the Secretary of the UNFF, Mr. Ziad Mahmasani, in my left, for their wonderful works. And I warmly greet all participants in the chamber and those joining us online, including my mother and my family around the world. I wish you all a productive, inspiring, and successful session. Thank you so much, dear colleagues. I now invite the forum to listen to a video message from His Excellency Bob Rae, President of the Economic and Social Council.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to join you today at the 20th session of the United Nations Forum on Forests. I'm very proud to come from Canada, which is a great forest nation, and I understand, as do all of you, that forests are essential for a healthy planet. Well-managed forests offer nature-based solutions to many of our most pressing development challenges and provide livelihoods of directly forest-dependent communities by providing food, fodder, shelter, energy, medicine, and income. Despite their undeniable benefits, we have to recognize that forests are under threat all over the world. Deforestation must be addressed with full recognition of its close links to poverty, to industrial development, to demand for food and energy, and the impact of climate change. This conference comes at an opportune time when forests and nature-based solutions are being afforded unprecedented attention to deliver on the SDGs, the Paris Agreement, and the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. Your discussions at this forum around valuing forests, ecosystems in national policy and strategy will inform the discussions at the 2025 HLPF, contributing to deeper engagement with international financial institutions to address development financing gaps, especially for developing countries. UNFF20 will provide an opportunity to discuss efforts to halt deforestation and use forests to address socioeconomic challenges, including inequality and poverty, in the context of forest management that simply has to be sustainable. We have no choice. This will require concerted action that is rooted firmly in political will. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, there is no solution to climate change or biodiversity loss without forests, and forests that are healthy. Let us build on the 2024 Pact for the Future and member states pledge to reverse environmental damage and do everything we can to conserve all of our planet's resources, including forests. Let us be reminded of our responsibilities outlined in the Declaration on Future Generations and focus our efforts to realize the United Nations Strategic Plan for Forests. I invite you to make the most of UNFF20 to safeguard, address threats, and identify means to continue advocating for our forests, to shining a spotlight on their contribution to tackling urgent global challenges. I wish you all a very, very successful meeting and look forward to hearing more about them. Thank you so much and good luck.
I thank to President of the Economic and Social Council, His Excellency Bob Ray of Canada. Now I invite His Excellency Philemon Young, President of the 79th session of the General Assembly, to make a statement. Excellency, you have the floor, please.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to join you for the opening of the 20th session of the United Nations Forum on Forests. For over 2 decades, this forum has brought member states and stakeholders together to advance the conservation, restoration, and sustainable management of forests. And the United Nations Strategic Plan for Forests and the Forest Instrument, among others, have proven useful tools in strengthening forest governance, improving institutional frameworks, and promoting inclusive engagement and partnerships. With only 5 years remaining to meet the deadlines for the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, we must take urgent action to achieve our forest goals. Goals that are predicated on the reality that 1, forests are integral to our pursuit of sustainable development. 2, as some of the planet's most important warehouses of carbon, they are vital to stabilizing our climate and addressing climate change. 3, they support food security, biodiversity, clean air and water, and human well-being. And 4, if forests are managed sustainably, they will help people lifted out of poverty, create jobs, and build resilience. Despite the clear benefits, deforestation, forest degradation, and biodiversity loss are undermining our best efforts. Every hectare of forest loss moves us away from the sustainable future we seek. Therefore, I am pleased that the General Assembly recently adopted the resolution on United Nations Decade for Afforestation and Reforestation in line with sustainable forest management. This resolution is an important step towards the stronger coordination, enhanced financing, and accelerated implementation we need to achieve our principal goals on forest. But our efforts will only succeed through renewed multilateral engagement built on a sense of trust and collective responsibility. The Pact for the Future adopted last September underscores the need for greater efforts to halt and reverse deforestation and forest degradation by 2030. Today, the responsibility to implement the Pact for the Future lies with us all. It is fitting that later this year, the Conference of the Parties of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change will be hosted in the Amazon. This unique backdrop offers a poignant reminder of forests' vital role in the global response to climate change. We must seize this and other opportunities to reaffirm the importance of forests as pillars of our sustainable development agenda. Dear friends, challenges before us are indeed immense. The challenges are tremendous. But with unity of purpose and clarity of vision, we can ensure that sustainably managed forests remain a cornerstone of a healthier planet and a better future for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Now, I would like to invite Mrs. Bjork Sanjar, Assistant Secretary General for Policy Coordination at the Department of Economic and Social Affairs, to make a statement. I just learned that her father was a forester, so that's really nice to have a forester here together with us. You have the floor, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you. Thank you for the very warm welcome. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. So on behalf of Mr. Lee, the Undersecretary General for Economic and Social Affairs, it's my pleasure to address this 20th session on the UN Forum on Forests at the start of your very important work this week. This session of the Forum is organized at a turbulent time for people and the planet. Geopolitical tensions, inflation, increased prices of commodities and services, conflicts and migration are threatening the welfare and livelihoods of many peoples and societies. High inflation unleashed an erosion of real income, and a global cost of living crisis has pushed millions into poverty and economic hardship. The current global economic slowdown cuts across both developed and developing countries. The United Nations is also facing an unprecedented liquidity crisis, impacting the scope and the level of our delivery support to member states. And dear friends, the world also remains vulnerable to disruptive shocks and slow onset natural and human-made disasters. These results directly and indirectly from the ravaging effects of global warming, of biodiversity loss, of deforestation and ecosystem degradation. This, again, ultimately impacts food availability and the economic stability of communities dependent on forests. Efforts to halt and reverse deforestation and forest degradation and the achievement of the global forest goals and the sustainable development goals continue to be hampered by political instability, by security threats, by fragmented global forest governance, by low political priority to forests, and weak financing and implementation arrangements. So these complex challenges are interconnected across borders and all other divides. And I think as this August collection of distinguished delegates know very well, can only be addressed by an integrated, coherent, and well-designed policy and policies that have multiplier effects on advancing goals, both within and among countries. So, dear colleagues, in addressing these challenges, forests do play a fundamental role. Forests are a foundation of health, vitality, and life of our planet, providing enormous environmental, economic, and social benefits to all of us. Despite their undeniable benefits for a health environment, forests continue to be under threat. Every year, 7 million hectares of natural forests are converted to other land uses. There has been growing awareness and recognition by the international community of the role of forests in addressing many global challenges. At the Summit of the Future in September 24, that was mentioned earlier as well, world leaders took important strides forward in the Pact for the Future and highlighted the importance of protecting, conserving, and restoring nature and ecosystems, and the close interlinkages between forests, biodiversity, and climate change. The outcomes of recent conferences of parties to the Rio Conventions and their follow-up also provided additional avenues for further integration of forest-based actions and solutions into the nationally determined contributions to the Paris Agreement and the national biodiversity strategies and action plans. Distinguished delegates, we have 5 years left to turn our shared goals into reality with a clear lesson in front of us. We need to strengthen global cooperation on all fronts, now more than ever. A coherent approach is vital to effectively address financial, technical, and technological needs of countries through strengthening multilateralism and in implementing forest-related commitments, including the outcomes of UNFF20 on the midterm review of the International Agreement on Forests and its high-level segment declaration. So in these troubled times, the work of the Forum is more essential than ever, as the Forum plays a critical role in our efforts to reinvigorate effective multilateralism on forests. The upcoming 4th International Conference on Financing for Development in Spain, the high-level political forum on sustainable development here in New York, and finally, the UN Climate Change Conference, COP30 in Brazil, will be critical steps to that end. So with that, dear colleagues, I wish you fruitful deliberations and a successful session. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Björk Sanger, Assistant Secretary General for Policy Coordination at the Department of Economic and Social Affairs. Thank you so much. Thank you. Dear delegates, distinguished colleagues, now we completed opening statements. Now I invite the Forum to turn to item 1 of the provisional agenda, election of officers. Members will recall that at the first meeting of the 20th session on 10 May 2024, the Forum elected its chair and vice chairs for the 20th and 21st sessions, and the Bureau is therefore fully constituted. I would like to inform that the Bureau has decided to recommend that Ms. Maria Sokolenko of the Russian Federation should serve as rapporteur of the 20th and 21st sessions of the Forum. May I take it that the Forum wishes to appoint by acclamation Mrs. Sokolenko to serve as Vice Chair, cum reporter of the 20th and 21st session of the Forum. I hear no objection, so it is so decided. Now I would like to invite Mrs. Sokolenko to take her seat at the podium. Mrs. Maria Sokolenko, please join us. while she is coming, it's a bit far away. While she is coming, I congratulate once again the newly elected members of the Bureau on their election. I now invite the forum to consider item 2, adoption of the agenda and other organizational matters, for which the forum has before it document E/CN.18/2025/1 containing the annotated provisional agenda for its 20th session. Are there any comments on the provisional agenda? Okay. May I take that the forum wishes to adopt its provisional agenda? I see no objection, so it is so decided. And now we have our reporter with us. Thank you for joining us, Maria. Welcome. I now invite the forum to turn its attention to the proposed organization of work. The provisional organization of work was introduced in detail during my organization briefing held on 4 April and has been circulated to delegations through e-delegate and to UNFF national focal points in advance of the session. It is also posted on the UNFF website. I also wish to draw the forum's attention to the information note for UNFF20 participants that was circulated through e-delegate in March and in which is also available on the UNFF website. Turning now to the modalities of the session, as delegations are aware, UNFF20 will meet from 5 to May in person here in UN headquarters in New York. The plenary meetings will be held in Trusteeship Council Chamber here, Rome, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and from 3 to 6 p.m. The formal meetings of UNFF20 will be broadcasted live and archived through UN Web TV. No, also we are online. Real-time captioning services will also be provided for the formal meetings. Considering the austerity measures in place, the regular meetings hours of 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. for meetings with conference services will be strictly applied. Requests for meetings and events taking place in conference rooms before 10 a.m. or after 6 p.m. or on weekends cannot be accommodated. The time limit for statements and interventions during UNFF20 formal meetings will be 5 minutes for delegations speaking on behalf of the group of states and 3 minutes for individual delegations. In the event of the time constraints, the time limit for individual delegations and delegations speaking on behalf of groups will be reduced further as needed. These time limits will be strictly enforced, including through the muting of microphones. Sorry for that. This measure is necessary to ensure that as many delegations as possible are able to participate within the limited time available. I thank you in advance for your understanding and cooperation. There will be no predetermined list of speakers for the general discussions scheduled for Monday, 5 May in the morning, as well as for the remaining general discussions during UNFF20. Delegations who wish to speak should request the floor by pressing their microphone button at their respective desk seats. Written copies of statements delivered in the forum should be sent to astatement.un.org as soon as possible and no later than 2 hours in advance of delivery in order to facilitate interpretation and for posting on as statements. Statements submitted to statements@un.org will be available on the digital UN journal. This morning, and after the adoption of the UNFF20 Provisional Organization of Work, the UNFF Secretariat will introduce its Secretariat notes on items 3A, 3C, 3D, 4, and 6. Subsequently, the Director of the UNFF Secretariat will briefly highlight the main activities and achievements of the Secretariat. After that, the floor will be opened for the general discussion, during which delegations can make their general statements and interventions. Today afternoon, the forum will continue its consideration of item 3, under which a presentation by the Secretariat will be made on the thematic priorities of UNFF20. After that, the forum will consider item 3A and its sub-items 1, 2, 3 on the outcomes of the country-led initiatives, new announcement of voluntary national contributions by UNFF members, and any update on the previously announced voluntary national contributions. This will be followed by a joint general discussion on item 3A and its sub-items. Interested members of the forum can use this opportunity to announce their intention to organize a country-led initiative in support of UNFF at this meeting. Thereafter, the forum will consider item 3B and its sub-items 1, 2, and 3 on the contributions of the Collaborative Partnership on Forest, regional and sub-regional partners, and major groups to the thematic priorities of UNFF20, as well as the relevant intersessional activities undertaken by these partners since the last session of the forum. Subsequently, the floor will be opened for general discussions on item 3B and its sub-items. On Tuesday, 6 May, in the morning, the forum will hold technical discussions on agenda item 3C and the interlinkages between the Global Forest Goals, the Sustainable Development Goals, under review at the 2025 and 2026 sessions of the High-Level Political Forum on Sustainable Development, as well as on other global forest-related developments since UNFF19. Several updates will be provided on the SDGs under review at the 2025 and 2026 sessions of the High-Level Political Forum, the outcomes of global forest-related conferences, including the Conference of the Parties of the 3 Rio Conventions in 2024, and the forest-related United Nations General Assembly resolutions. There will be also a presentation on the Tropical Forest Forever facility. After these presentations and updates, the floor will be open for a general discussions on item 3C. On Tuesday afternoon, the forum will consider and hold a general discussion on item 3D on the implementation of the United Nations Strategic Plan for Forest Communication and Outreach Strategy, including activities regarding the International Day of Forests 2025. The theme of the International Day of Forests for 2026 will be announced by the Collaborative Partnership on Forests during this meeting. Following the conclusion of the general discussion on item 3D, a panel discussion will be held on valuing forest ecosystems in national policy and strategy, the experiences, challenges, and the way forward. This will be followed by an interactive discussion. On Wednesday, 7 May in the morning, and following the introduction of the Secretariat note on item 3E, and presentation of an update on the developments regarding the Global Financing Facility Office in Beijing, the forum will consider and hold a general discussion on agenda item 3E on means of implementation, including the operation and resources for the Global Forest Financing Facilitation Network. After the conclusion of the general discussion, a panel discussion will be held on significance of a global hub on data, information, and knowledge on forest financing opportunities and best practices, and the role of global GFFF and clearinghouse, which will be followed by an interactive discussion. On Wednesday afternoon, the forum will consider and hold a general discussion on agenda item 3F on monitoring, assessment, and reporting. Under this agenda item, the relevant secretariat note will be introduced. Several updates will be also provided, including on the outcome of the last month's workshop on monitoring, assessment, and reporting, preparation for the next voluntary national report for UNFF, preparation of the next Global Forest Goals report, and the global core set of forest-related indicators. On Thursday, 8 May in the morning, the forum will consider agenda item 4, under which a presentation will be made on the information papers of the workloads, needs, and gaps of the UNFF Secretariat, as per the provision of ECOSOC Resolution 2024/15. The presentation will be followed by a general discussion on the item focusing on the papers. After that, the Secretariat note on the forum's trust fund will be introduced by the Secretariat, and the forum will hold a general discussion on agenda item 5 on the forum's trust fund. The meeting on Thursday afternoon will be devoted to agenda item 6 on emerging issues. For this item, the Bureau decided to consider dryland forest for discussion under item 6. This meeting includes a panel discussion on dryland forests to be followed by a general discussion on the item. I wish to add that the concept notes for all 3 panels of UNFF20 are available on the UNFF20 website. My special thanks to the Secretariat for their wonderful job. On Friday morning, 9 May, the meeting of the forum will be dedicated per previous practice to allow delegations to make any factual correction to the draft of the chair's summary or to indicate any major missing element of their views raised during UNFF20. After the conclusion of UNFF20, delegations will still have 1 week to inform the chair and the secretariat of any factual correction or major missing element of their interventions for inclusion in the draft. The draft chair's summary will be circulated electronically among UNFF20 participants on Thursday, 8 May in the evening. Also on Friday morning, the forum will be invited to take decisions on the date and venue, as well as the provisional agenda for its 21st session. The forum is also expected to adopt the draft procedural report for its current session. I wish to add that 3 parallel side events will be held daily in an in-person format during UNFF20. Side events will be held from 1:15 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. each day in the Trusteeship Council Chamber, this room, as well as in rooms B and room 7. The final list of the side events is available on the UNFF20 webpage. Finally, I wish to draw the attention of members to the letter dated 25 February 2025 from the PGA, transmitting the letter from the Chief of the Cabinet and its annex on the restrictive measures to be taken in the context of the ongoing liquidity crisis. In accordance with these measures, the meetings of UNFF20 will need to be reduced by at least 10%. The session will therefore conclude on Friday morning, 9 May. There will also be no parallel meetings of UNFF20, and the length of the procedural report of the session will be reduced by 10%. In accordance with ECOSOC Resolution 2024/15, UNFF20 will be a technical session. The thematic priorities of UNFF20 are Global Forest Goals 1, 3, and 5. The main outcome of the UNFF20 will be a concise chair summary of the discussions that may include proposals for consideration at the forum's policy session in 2026. The chair summary will also include the summary of discussions during UNFF20 and concise inputs to the 2025 and 2026 sessions of the high-level political forum. In line with past practice, the chair summary will be included in the report of UNFF20. Last but not least, in order to ensure that all participants receive correspondence relating to our work, please make sure to send your contact information to Ms. Edith Niamke at the UN Forum on Forest Secretariat through scanning the QR code on the slide, which is now shown on the screen. And also before the end of this morning meeting, for New York delegates, please ensure that the e-delegate system administrator in your missions provides you with access to the UNFF page of the module. Thank you so much for your patience. Are there any comments for all the explanations? Thank you. May I take it that the forum approves its organization of work with the understanding that further adjustments may be made as needed during the course of the session. I hear no objection, so it is so decided. I now invite the forum to begin its consideration of Agenda Item 3, technical discussions on the implementation of the United Nations Strategic Plan for Forests 2017-2030, jointly with Item 4, progress in the implementation of the outcomes of the midterm review of the International Arrangement on Forests, and Item 6, emerging issues. The documentation submitted under these agenda items is listed in the eGov portal, the UN Journal, and on the UNFF website. Now I invite Mr. Ryo Nakamura of the UN Forum on Forest Secretariat to introduce the Secretariat notes under items 3 and its sub-items, and 4 and 6. Mr. Nakamura, where are you? Hi, you are here. You have the floor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It is my pleasure to introduce note by the Secretariat E/CN.18/2025/2 in relation to the technical discussions on the implementation of the UN Strategic Plan for Forest 2017 to 2030. Activities undertaken since the 19th session of the Forum in support of the thematic priorities for the biennium 2025 to 2026. The present note serves as a basis for discussion during the present session of the Forum on agenda items 3A, 3C, 3D, and item 6. This note highlights updates on activities of members of the Forum and information on interlinkages between the Global Forest Goals and Targets and the Sustainable Development Goals under review by the High-Level Political Forum on Sustainable Development in 2025 and 2026, as well as updates on major forest-related developments. The note also contains information on progress made in the implementation of the communication and outreach strategy of the UN Strategic Plan for Forest, emerging issues, as well as some suggestions for consideration at the present session. In July 2025, the High-Level Political Forum will conduct review of SDG 3 on good health and well-being, Goal 5 on gender equality, Goal 8 on decent work and economic growth, Goal 14 on life below water, and Goal 17 on partnerships. In this regard, the Bureau of the present session of the Forum prepared its input to the HLPF. This input will be presented by the representative of the Bureau on Tuesday morning to serve as a basis for discussion on this matter during the present session of the Forum. Also on Tuesday morning, update will be provided regarding the SDGs and a review by the High-Level Political Forum in 2026, which is SDG Goal 6 on clean water and sanitation, Goal 7 on affordable clean energy, Goal 9 on industry, innovation, and infrastructure, Goal 11 on sustainable cities and communities, and Goal 17. The note also provides information on interlinkages between the global forest goals and targets and the outcomes of the Conference of the Party to the Rio Conventions on climate change, biodiversity, and desertification that took place in 2024, as well as the Pact of the Future adopted during the Summit of the Future, General Assembly Resolution 78/320. For each of these developments, information will be provided on Tuesday morning by the respective speakers and representatives, including on General Assembly Resolution 79/283, adopted last month in April 2025. A country-led initiative in support of the Forum was organized by Republic of Congo in July 2024, focusing on topic of afforestation and reforestation. The outcome of this initiative will be presented this afternoon. A new voluntary national contribution in support of the global forest goals was announced by Georgia, which brought the total number of submissions to 27 countries. During the Conference of Parties of the Rio Convention on Climate Convention in 2024, a multi-stakeholder forest pavilion was organized by a group of countries and organizations co-chaired by Canada and the Asian Development Bank. On the International Day of Forest, update on this matter will be provided on Tuesday afternoon. Regarding emerging issues, the Bureau of the Forum recommended dryland forests be discussed under this item in light of their essential role in combating desertification, preserving biodiversity, supporting livelihoods, and regulating local climates. Finally, the note contains several suggestions for discussion on the respective agenda item during the present session, and for possible inclusion in the chair summary of discussions. These suggestions include inviting those members that have yet to do so to announce their voluntary national contributions in support of the global forest goals, encouraging integration of forest-based action into national sustainable development strategies, the updated nationally determined contributions, and the revised and updated national biodiversity strategies and action plans. Exploring the possibility of making the Forest Pavilion a recurring initiative at the Conference of Parties to the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. And lastly, raising awareness of the significance of forest, engaging in celebrating the International Day of Forest, and addressing related gaps and needs of the Forum Secretariat. Thank you.
Thank you, Rio, for these all explanations. Thank you so much. Dear colleagues, now I invite the Director of the Secretariat of the UN Forum on Forests, Mrs. Juliette Biao, to provide remarks on UNFF Secretariat activities and achievements. Mrs. Biao, you have the floor, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure to speak at this unique global forest body today to provide a brief overview of the major activities and achievements of the UNFF Secretariat since UNFF20, our vision for advancing the work of the Secretariat in the coming year, and the potential risks. In recent years, the global community has continuously grappled with increased socio-economic, ecological, humanitarian, geopolitical, and geoeconomic challenges. The current complex situation has created an atmosphere of fragility and uncertainties about the future. At this challenging time, the Forum adopted the Omnibus Resolution on the midterm review of the effectiveness of the International Arrangement on Forests, IAF, and the high-level segment declaration at the UNFF19 as the blueprint for our work until the final review of the IAF in 2030. Distinguished delegates, UNFF19 outcomes contains over 30 new tasks for the UNFF Secretariat. No program budget implication provided to offset the resource insufficiency of the UNFF Secretariat for undertaking this new task. The ongoing and unprecedented UN liquidity crisis further exacerbated the severity of the situation. Despite these challenges, the Secretariat undertook various measures to respond proactively to the new demands and requests emanated from the outcome of the UNFF19. I wish to highlight just a few examples. The Secretariat promoted enhanced support by countries to the Forum's work. There has been increased interest among Forum members to organize country-led or organization-led initiative. In July 2024, the Republic of Congo organized a country-led initiative on afforestation and reforestation. Morocco will hold another country-led initiative on technology, finance, and forest community development in June 2025. There will be 2 more CLIs to be announced on forest fires and forests and sustainable bioeconomy at this session. Second, a major and strategic work was carried out with the CBD Secretariat to analyze the interlinkages of global forest goals and the global biodiversity framework. This is the first type of such work carried out, and it lays a foundation for similar type of analysis regarding other global forest-related goals and targets. This is a major ingredient for advancing complementarity and coherence on all global forest-related goals. Third, the Secretariat continued to provide its routine GFFN support to countries and enhance political support on forest financing by organizing joint events with the presidency of COP29 UNFFCCC. Closer and deeper collaboration with relevant data holders was promoted to explore the possibility for systematic collaboration to turn the GFFN clearinghouse to a comprehensive source of information, knowledge, and data on forest financing. The United Nations and China also made major progress on resolving many pending substantive and legal issues regarding the proposed GFFN office in China. Major advances made in facilitating, monitoring, assessment, and reporting with the launch of the new online reporting platform toward a streamlined and data-driven reporting means to track the progress on the UNSPF. This hopefully leads to significant increase in the quality and quantities of national reports in June 2025, and subsequently a solid 2026 Global Forest Goals report. Fifth, the outreach and partnership activities of the Secretariat scaled up by issuing monthly UNFF update, organizing of Forest Pavilion at COP29, and preparation for the next one at COP30 at UNFFCCC, and intersessional meetings for UNFF regional and sub-regional partners and major groups. Collaboration with CPF members further enhanced by developing CPF work plan. Sixth, one major activity of the Secretariat in the past year was to support the GA negotiations and the draft resolution on UN Decade for Afforestation and Reforestation in line with sustainable forest management, which was adopted by the GA 3 weeks ago. In this resolution, the UNFF Secretariat and 2 other CPF members are invited to facilitate the observance of this decade. By adopting this resolution, which is in line with the global forest goals of the UNSPF, the Secretariat plans to work closely with relevant partners to devise a plan for its observance. Dear colleagues, in the period leading to the next session of UNFF in 2026, we will do our best to continue to deepen strategic partnership, strengthen support for streamlined national reports, and further enhance our work on forest financing. However, I wish to reiterate that this situation is not sustainable. The current resource insufficiency of the Secretariat has put its delivery capacity at great risk. You will hear the presentation of the information paper on the workload, needs, and gaps of the UNFF Secretariat this week, which hopefully pave the way for addressing the challenges that the Secretariat is facing. Before concluding, I wish to remind ourselves that the UNFF remains the only universal intergovernmental platform with mandate on all types of forests. It is where priorities are shaped, partnerships are forged, and multilateralism put in practice. The work we do together at this session and over the next 5 years will be decisive in determining whether we meet our shared goals. Rest assured that the Secretariat stands ready to support you in this endeavor. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup, Madame Director. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, I now invite the forum to hold its joint general discussion on items 3, 4, and 6. As mentioned earlier, there is no predetermined list of speakers for the joint general discussion. Delegations may request the floor by pressing the button on the microphone console. Delegations are kindly requested to strictly adhere to the time limits of 5 minutes for statements on behalf of a group of states and 3 minutes for the statements by individual delegations. Delegations speaking on behalf of a group are kindly asked to inform the Secretariat in the room in order to be given priority in the list. To assist speakers in the managing their time, the light on the microphone will start blinking 30 seconds before. The time limit is reached to indicate that the speaker should start concluding the statement. If the speaker continues beyond the time limit, the microphone will be automatically muted. Sorry again for this. Nonetheless, I would like to request the speakers to deliver statements at normal speaking speed for purposes of interpretation. Longer versions of the statements may be sent for circulation through as statements UN.org. Now it is your turn. Thank you so much for your patience. In my list, I see Poland on behalf of the European Union, then Brazil, then Islamic Republic of Iran, then we'll go on. Now I give the floor to the distinguished representative of Poland on behalf of the European Union. You have the floor, please.
Mr. Chair, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, I'm honored to speak on behalf of the European Union and its 27 member states. The EU and its member states would like to extend their sincere appreciation to the Bureau and the UNFF Secretariat for organizing the 20th session of the United Nations Forum on Forests. United Nations Strategic Plan for Forests 2017-2030 with its Global Forest Goals, it's a key framework for EU regarding the promotion of sustainable forest management at the global level and its role in contributing to the 2030 Agenda and all its SDGs. In this regard, UNFF also contributes significantly to the implementation of multilateral environmental conventions, agreements, and frameworks, such as CBD, KMGBF, UNFCCC, the Paris Agreement, and UNCCD, and provides a framework to strengthen synergies in this regard. This week, we focus on the GFG, first, third, and fifth, but all 6 goals included in UNFF are key for this purpose. The EU welcomes the inclusion of the topic of dryland forests as an emergent issue in UNFF20 agenda and highlights the role of dryland forests in combating desertification, preserving biodiversity, supporting livelihoods, and regulating local climates. The EU appreciates collaboration between UNFF and its members and other organizations and stakeholders, as well as other multilateral environmental conventions and agreements, highlighting the key role of the CPF in this fragmented institutional landscape. We look forward to further discussion and sharing views on the issues in this week's agenda. We are ready to cooperate during the UNFF20. Thank you.
Thank you, Poland, on behalf of the European Union. Now I invite Brazil. You have the floor, please. Brazil.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Brazil would like to thank the Secretariat and the Bureau for the efforts in preparing this session. As we approach the 2030 milestone of the UN Strategic Plan on Forests, the session offers an opportunity to reflect on progress made, identify persistent challenges, and explore opportunities to accelerate implementation. Brazil remains firmly committed to the achievement of the global forest goals. In recent years, we have observed a consistent decline in deforestation rates in the Brazilian Amazon. In 2024 alone, the rate fell by 31% compared to the previous year. This reduction has been driven by a combination of enhanced enforcement and governance measures, alongside the promotion of sustainable economic alternatives. One such measure is the adoption of our national bioeconomy policy, which aims to catalyze investment in business models that support forest conservation and sustainable management. As the host country of the upcoming UNFCCC COP30 in Belém, Brazil sees this session as a strategic moment to highlight two priority initiatives that reflect our forest agenda. First, the Tropical Forest Forever Facility is an innovative, results-based financing mechanism that provides predictable per-hectare payment to countries for conserving tropical forests. Designed to complement long-term domestic efforts, the TFFF ensures that at least 20% of allocated funds in each country will be directly supporting indigenous peoples and local communities, the frontline stewards of the forest. By treating forest as a stock, the TFFF complements mechanisms such as RED+, which focuses on forest flux. It is a blended finance initiative, initially capitalized through sovereign contributions and structured to attract additional private sector investment, in line with the goal of tapping all sources. We look forward to sharing more during the dedicated presentation on the TFFF tomorrow. Second, Brazil continues to advance the United for Our Forest Group, a platform to foster South-South dialogue, build partnerships, and identify shared solutions to protect forests in developing countries. Both initiatives will elevate the profile of forests in the global agenda and contribute to building inclusive, effective solutions tailored to the needs of developing countries. The Brazilian delegation stands ready to engage in bilateral discussions with any delegation interested in learning more about the TFFF and Uniting for Our Forests. On item 4, we look forward to further updates from the Secretariat on the implementation of the midterm review of the IAF. On item 6, Brazil recognizes the importance of enhancing visibility of dryland forests, which are underappreciated and affected by the challenges associated with poverty and food insecurity. In Brazil, we have adopted specific policies to conserve Cerrado and Caatinga dryland forests. We emphasize the need to uphold coherence with a holistic approach encompassing all types of forests.
Thank you so much. Now, I invite Islamic Republic of Iran, followed by Russian Federation. Iran, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the floor. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allow me to thank the Secretariat for providing all necessary documents and convening this forum, as well as reports provided under the item 3 and 4. Forests are the lungs of our planet. They are indispensable to biodiversity, climate regulation, and the sustainability of human livelihood. As one of the low forest covered countries, Iran has placed forest and rangeland management at the core of its environmental strategy. Mr. Chairman, allow me to highlight some of the action taken by Iran. We revised the forest and rangeland law to include sustainability and community participation. Iran's 7th National Development Plan mandates the reforestation of 20,000 hectares annually. Through 1 billion tree campaign, we have distributed over 10 million saplings, particularly in the arid and semi-arid areas. We introduced payment for ecosystem. First, fire early warning systems have been deployed in the high-risk provinces, and strong enforcement measures are in place to combat illegal logging and forest degradation. A major achievement is the international recognition of Hirkani Forest, one of the world's oldest forest ecosystems. In 2019, part of this unique region was inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List. We now manage this ecosystem with a comprehensive plan, including core and buffer zone zoning, biodiversity conservation, and sustainable tourism. Behind our border, Iran has actively contributed to collective efforts of the low forest covered countries. In 1999, we launched the Tehran Process, a dedicated intergovernmental initiative to support LFCCs. This platform provides policy dialogue, technical support, and international cooperation. And then, Mr. Chairman, despite our collective will, LFCC face several challenges. I would like to just highlight some of them and then some recommendation in this regard. LFCCs must be prioritized in allocation all related finance, including climate and forest finance. A comprehensive global action plan for LFCCs must be developed to scale up support for sustainable forest management. Achieving our common goals require providing necessary capacity building, participation and lifting all hinders, including unilateral coercive measures. And international agencies should support action-oriented solutions that reflect LFCC's needs, priorities, and vulnerabilities. And South-South and triangular cooperation should be strengthening to promote regional and global innovative and solidarity. In conclusion, Mr. Chairman, allow me to highlight that
Thank you, Iran. Thank you, my dear friend. As I mentioned before, Mr. Javad Momani is also acting as vice chair of the bureau, so there is no discrimination. I mean, we have to stop for everyone. Thank you. Now, I would like to invite Russian Federation, followed by Indonesia. Russian Federation, you have the floor, please.
Let me greet everybody and bring you up to date on Russia's experience in implementing the UN Strategic Plan for Forests. Vladimir Putin, President of Russia, issued a decree a year ago on a national project entitled Environmental Well-being. This key document outlines the strategic direction of Russia's forestry for the period 25 to 2030, and it's a logical continuation of the federal project Preserving Forests. As of the present time, the ratio of restored forests to deforested areas is more than 157%. Thus, we've lived up to our obligations regarding Russia's voluntary national contribution. We will increase the reforested area to exceed 1.2 million hectares. Russia's efforts work toward implementing the global forestry goal #1, signed by Russia and 140 other countries on the COP26 UNFFCC platform. We pursue planned work to implement this in pursuance of the UN General Assembly's decision to declare 21 to 2030 the UN Decade on Restoring Ecosystems. In this context, we support and emphasize the importance of new UN decisions in reforestation. The resolution on sustainable forest management regarding reforestation, specifically in areas of droughts, and the declaration of 27 to 2036 of a decade on forestry, afforestation and reforestation. I'd like to also report on my country's efforts to digitize forest management. This broadens our ability to monitor the entire timber supply chain and prevent illegal timber production and trade, and also provide the necessary services to the population. In conclusion, I'd like to emphasize the importance of the UN Forum on Forests. Russia is prepared for mutually beneficial cooperation in the spirit of mutual respect. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Russian Federation. Now, I would like to invite Indonesia. You have the floor, Indonesia, please.
Thank you, Chair. At the outset, we extend our appreciation to the Bureau and the Secretariat for organizing the UNFF20. Indonesia welcomes the Forum's thematic priorities under Global Forest Goals 1, 3, and 5, considering them timely as we race against time to achieve the SDGs by 2030. Since October 2024, guided by the Astacita vision of President Prabowo Subianto, Indonesia's development agenda has prioritized accelerated poverty reduction, enhanced human capital, and high inclusive and sustainable economic growth. In line with this vision, Indonesia continues to strengthen forestry policies to address sustainability challenges, including advancing sustainable forest management to support food and energy security, transitioning from wood-based to ecosystem-based, community-centered forest management through multi-business forestry, preventing forest fires and biodiversity loss, enhancing forest and land rehabilitation, and promoting social forestry and the recognition of adat or customary forests to balance economic, social, and environmental priorities. These efforts reaffirm Indonesia's long-standing commitment to sustainable forest governance that synergizes policy reforms, strengthens law enforcement, and inclusive stakeholders' engagement. Sustainable forest governance also supports Indonesia's strategy to boost economic growth and alleviate poverty by promoting the international trade of forest products, including timber, bamboo, and rattan, while ensuring alignment with environmental sustainability. This will be further highlighted in our side event this afternoon, co-hosted with the Broader Market Recognition Coalition and the International Bamboo and Rattan Organization at the Trusteeship Council Chamber. Sustainable forest governance has also laid a strong foundation for the Volunetzing 2030 program, Indonesia's roadmap toward net zero emissions in the forest and land use sector, leading to notable achievements, including the country's lowest deforestation rate in decades in 2021-2022. The Volunetzing program continues to demonstrate that sustainable forest management backed by result-based payments for emission reductions can deliver impactful outcomes that contribute towards the implementation of UN Strategic Plan for Forest 2017-2030. Thank you.
Thank you, Indonesia. Now I would like to invite Thailand. You have the floor, please, Thailand.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Royal Thai government, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to the United Nations for convening the 20th section of the United Nations Forum on Forests. The technical section will provide invaluable experience for our attendees and thus give life to achieving UNFF and IAF goals. Distinguished delegates, Thailand's 20-year National Strategic Plan has set up the target to increase green area to 55% of the country area in 2037. In 2020, the natural forest cover was 16.9 million hectares, approximately 33% of the country areas. The National Forest Policy aims to attain to forest area of 40% in 2036. Thailand Forest Management Policy focuses on sustainable forest management through collaboration with national and international stakeholders, recognizing social, economic, and environmental benefits of SFM. Economics and community forests are promoted by enhancing participation of local communities in forest conservation, protection, and restoration. The Royal Thai government remains committed to the implementation to sustainable forest management, which will bring about prosperity and well-being for local communities and healthy environment for our lives on Earth. Distinguished delegates, Thailand has joined the global community in combating climate change through the ratification of agreement and convention, including UNFCCC, Paris Agreements, UNCBD, KMGBF, UNCCD, and so on. In November this year, together with FAO and supporting countries, we will host the 31st section of Asia-Pacific Forestry Commission, focusing on the importance of regional forests and food security. In closing, I wish to reiterate Thailand's commitment to work with all parties in protecting and restoring forests everywhere in order to fulfill our objective of sustainable development. Thank you. ขอบคุณครับ
Thank you, distinguished representative of Thailand. Now, I see in my list Israel, followed by Morocco, Mexico, Nepal, and Congo to get prepared. Now, I will like to invite Israel. You have the floor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Israel is honored to participate in this vital dialogue on forests and their role in addressing global environmental challenges. As the country is over 60% arid and semi-arid land, Israel has long recognized the importance of forests as a key component in promoting sustainability, combating desertification, and enhancing climate resilience. We are proud to share that Israel has recently completed a strategic plan for forests developed by the Keren Kayemet LeIsrael Jewish National Fund, the acting forest service in Israel. This strategic plan emphasizes the need to protect our forest land hand by hand with the growing demand for recreational needs. The plan sets goals for biodiversity preservation, wildfire prevention, and public access, aligning with the principles of sustainable forest management. Another important aspect is the rehabilitation of degraded areas and managing ecologically the infrastructures in the forest. We have just met the harsh consequences of climate change when we faced massive wildfires last week in central Israel. Very low humidity and high temperatures resulted in mega fires. That emphasizes the need for sustainable forest management as a central to our national climate strategy. Furthermore, not just in preventing fires, forests in Israel act as carbon sinks, support water conservation, and enhance biodiversity. Adaptive management techniques, ecosystem monitoring, and community engagement ensure long-term forest health resilience. Israel's experience in dryland forestry has been instrumental in preventing land degradation. Through innovative methods such as water harvesting, use of drought-resistant native species, and soil stabilization, afforestation efforts in arid zones like the Negev Desert have transformed degraded lands into green spaces, supplying multiple ecosystem services. We reaffirm our commitment to international cooperation and knowledge exchange. Israel stands all ready to share its experience in dryland afforestation and climate-resilient forestry practices with countries facing similar challenges. Thank you.
Thank you, Israel. Now, I would like to invite Morocco on behalf of the African group, followed by Mexico. Morocco, you have the floor, please.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chair, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It's a real honour for me to take the floor on behalf of the Kingdom of Morocco and as Vice Chair of the Forum representing the African continent. At the outset, I wish to applaud the Secretariat of the Forum as well as the members of the Collaborative Partnership on Forests, whose efforts have contributed to the implementation of the UN Strategic Plan for Forests, and I applaud you for your exemplary organisation of this session. Ladies and gentlemen, forests are an essential pillar of life on Earth. Several roles have been cited this morning, and forests are crucial for life. Nevertheless, despite this recognised importance, the world continues to lose huge areas of forests every year, and this trend is concerning and requires enhanced mobilisation and a ramping up of efforts to restore forests and engage in sustainable development. That's why it's necessary to draw on international and regional initiatives based on comprehensive approaches that are tailored to local realities and that provide multiple benefits, including in the area of attracting investments. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Morocco has a huge amount of important forests, and it's part of our ecological resilience and economic development. However, like a lot of countries in the Mediterranean area, forest ecosystems face serious difficulties. It's difficult for them to naturally develop. There's also a lot of vulnerability to climate change. Aware of these challenges, the Kingdom of Morocco in 2020 launched an ambitious strategy that constitutes a structural reform and that is a break with classic management approaches. This strategy brings in a new forestry governance model that is based on inclusivity, sustainability, and the creation of value. It seeks specifically to increase forest coverage, to double the economic value through forestry and ecotourism, to ensure that we participate with users and to implement an institutional and legal substantial reform. One of the cornerstones of this approach is the inclusion of local populations in valuing forest resources by developing a social economy with solidarity, and this is something that is built in the regions. Ladies and gentlemen, by way of conclusion, please allow me to invite you to participate in the initiative of the International Alliance for Forests of Morocco in Agadir from the 16th to 18th of June 2025 in Morocco. This event will be based around three major themes: the community management of forests, technology and innovation for the sustainable management of forests, and sustainable forest financing. This meeting will seek to, and the speaker's microphone was cut off.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Abdurrahim Homi. As I mentioned earlier, Mr. Abdurrahim Homi is acting also as the Vice Chair of Africa. So thank you so much for joining us. Now I would like to invite the distinguished representative of Mexico, followed by Nepal. Mexico, you have the floor, please.
Agradecemos al secretariado.
We thank the Secretariat for their hard work to organise this 20th session of the United Nations Forum on Forests and for the activities engaged in during the last year. Excellencies, Mexico recognises how important the UN Strategic Plan for Forests is, 2017 to 2030, as a global action framework for forest management that contributes to sustainable development and that provides economic, social, environmental and cultural benefits for present and future generations. We launch an appeal to increase and accelerate national efforts to contribute to fulfilling the 6 global forest goals that in turn support the fulfillment of the SDGs. We welcome the efforts of the Forum Secretariat to follow up the implementation of the strategic plan by supervising and analysing national voluntary reports. Mexico thanks the Secretariat for the guidance provided during the process to draft the reports and to establish spaces to exchange experiences and best practices between member states. Our government welcomes the progress and the achievements made by the Secretariat of the Forum on the development of a digital platform for facilitating the integration and presentation of national voluntary reports. We underscore the relevance of the special working group on monitoring, assessment and reporting that Mexico is part of to provide guidance and feedback to the Secretariat on the process to draft and to follow up on the national voluntary reports. We launch an appeal to present national voluntary reports so that they can feed into the report on the contributions of the strategic plan of the UN for forests to the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. On the progress made in implementing the results of the midterm review of the International Agreement on Forests, Mexico welcomes actions made by the Forum. We particularly thank the efforts made to strengthen synergies in the forest sector and to facilitate collaboration with different organisations and mechanisms to optimise the implementation of sustainable forest management and to the contribution of forests to the fight against climate change. Excellencies, Mexico reaffirms its commitment to continue to collaborate actively with the Secretariat of the Forum and with member states in order to strengthen the sustainable management of forests and to contribute to the fulfilment of the global forest goals. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mexico. Now I would like to invite Nepal, followed by Congo. Nepal, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Forest conservation is critical for biodiversity, climate stability, and human livelihoods. Yet, despite international initiatives and legal frameworks, global forest conservations face severe challenges. To our consternations, forest loss continues unabated globally. Mr. Chair, Nepal has made significant contribution to the global forest goals. Forests are fully integrated into our national periodic plans, policies, and frameworks. Over the past 3 decades, Nepal has increased its forest cover from 26% to 45%. Our Tarai Arc landscape has been recognized as a UN World Restoration flagship. Our pioneering community forestry program now covers 2.35 million hectares, 35% of our total forest area, and engages over 16 million people. However, climate-induced wildfires, limited carbon market access, underdeveloped forest value chains, and growing human-wildlife conflict present challenges in our efforts. In this context, let me highlight a few points. First, we strongly urge developed countries to fulfill their climate commitments and call for enhanced financial support to the LDCs for forest projects, especially from the Biodiversity Fund and Climate Fund. Simplified and smooth access to these funds is extremely important. Second, we stress the urgent need to facilitate access to carbon markets for forest-rich, low-emission countries like Nepal for equitable benefit sharing from the global carbon market. Third, significant technology transfer and capacity building support are required to tackle climate change-induced extreme weather events, including through preparedness and early warning systems. Fourth, the international community, including MDBs, must provide strong incentives to the countries that have been promoting forest and biodiversity at the cost of economic activities. Mr. Chairs, strengthening national commitment and fostering international cooperations are quite critical in combating deforestation and advancing the global forest goals. We must take urgent actions to fulfill our commitments to protect forest and biodiversity. Together, let's build a greener and more resilient future for all. I thank you.
Thank you, distinguished delegates of Nepal. Now, I would like to invite Congo, followed by Philippines. Congo, you have the floor, please.
Je vous remercie, honorable président.
Thank you, distinguished chair. We applaud the UN Secretariat and thank them for organising this 20th session of the UN Forum on Forests. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, distinguished participants, at the outset, please allow me, on behalf of the government of the Republic of Congo, to extend our most heartfelt thanks to the bodies of the UN system, including the UN Forum on Forest Secretariat, international organisations, and all member states for the almost unanimous adoption of the resolution proclaiming the UN Decade on Forests and Forestry. This is a common commitment to fight against deforestation, to restore forest ecosystems, and to combat climate change. The Republic of Congo thanks you so much for this common effort to engage in a nature-based solution by the whole of the international community. Here are some of the results of the national voluntary contributions of the Republic of Congo that has adopted an approach to sustainably manage our vast areas of forests, which cover a huge amount of our national territory. Thus far, 9.5 million hectares of forests have been protected, and we have a deforestation rate below 1%. Almost 20% of our national territory is conserved, and forest planting and carbon sinks have been developed. Almost 8 million trees have been planted. Furthermore, our country in 2024 successfully organised the International Conference on Forestation that led to the adoption of the UN Decade for Forestry and Reforestry. Congo is engaged in a process for local wood processing, where 30% of wood is processed and timber processed nationally. We have special tax areas to boost our industry, to provide employment for youth, and develop the timber industry. This supports the income of rural communities and indigenous populations. The enactment of a new forest code has strengthened the participatory management, transparency, and fight against climate change, and the voluntary partnership programme with the EU is enabling us to ensure legality and traceability of timber. By way of conclusion, the Republic of Congo remains staunchly committed to the implementation of the UN Strategic Programme on Forests. Despite huge efforts, there are still difficulties in the area of financing. The speaker's microphone was cut off.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry for the microphone. My thanks to distinguished representative of Republic of Congo. Now I would like to invite Philippines, followed by Republic of Korea. Philippines, you have the floor, please.
On behalf of the Republic of the Philippines, I'm honored to reaffirm our nation's steadfast commitment to sustainable forest management in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals and the targets under the UN Strategic Plan for Forests and the Global Forest Goals. The Philippines is moving towards with the vision of a climate-resilient and sustainably managed forest as articulated in our Master Plan for Climate Change-Resilient Forestry Development. We are now working to integrate this plan with broader climate and development policies to respond more actively and efficiently to the escalating impacts of climate change. We recognize the inextricable link between forest health and climate resilience. I am pleased to share that the Philippines is completing its REDD+ readiness requirements under the Warsaw Framework and expects to formally announce this during COP30 in Brazil later this year. Allow me to highlight 4 key priorities and recent milestones from our forestry sector. Through our National Greening Program, we have rehabilitated over 2.2 million hectares of degraded forest lands and planted nearly 1.9 billion seedlings since 2011. To scale up these efforts, we launched the Forest for Life 5 Million Trees program on the International Day of Forest, which aims to engage the private sector, civil society, and local communities in planting indigenous trees across key ecosystems. We respectfully propose this initiative as our voluntary national contribution to Global Forest Goals 1 and 4. We have designated 1 million hectares of forest land for sustainable investment. By mid-2025, investment portfolios will be launched for these areas tailored to specific landscapes and risks to guide private sector participation. We're also advancing forest carbon investments through our collaboration with the Asian Development Bank on the implementation of Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. The Philippines is developing a national registry for ITMOs, ensuring transparency, environmental integrity, and alignment with global carbon markets. This registry will support forest-based mitigation activities and help unlock international climate finance. We are leveraging digital tools such as the Satellite Land Monitoring System and Fire Danger Rating System to support real-time forest monitoring and community-driven protection strategies. Mr. Chair, the Philippines believes that global forest sustainability depends on international cooperation, equitable financing, and the meaningful participation of local and indigenous peoples. We are committed to sharing our experiences, building partnerships, and contributing actively to the global forest agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Philippines. Now I would like to invite the representative of Republic of Korea, followed by Malaysia. Korea, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Chair. Distinguished delegate, ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to speak on behalf of Republic of Korea. I wish to express my sincere appreciation to the Bureau and the Secretariat for organizing the 20th session of the UNFF. To contribute to the implementation of the UN Strategic Plan for Forest and the achievement of the GFGs, the Republic of Korea revised the 6th National Forest Plan this February. The revised plan confirms the 11% forest sector contribution to the 2030 NDC, establishes the legal ground for OECM's designation under the Kunming-Montreal Framework, and enact a new Forest Disaster Prevention Act. I would also like to share that just last month of April 2025, Korea Reforestation Archives, a reforestation model achieved through public-private governance, was inscribed on the UNESCO Memory of the World Register. This represents a case of achieving both economic development and large-scale forest restoration. This could offer valuable insight for many countries in the global south. Korea will continue to strengthen both bilateral and multilateral cooperation based on this legacy. This March, Korea faced the largest forest fire in its history, with around 100,000 hectares of forest lost and significant human casualties. Despite an integrated fire management system, climate-driven risks make the efforts more challenging. This highlights the critical needs for international cooperation in addressing forest fires. Korea is working with the FAO through the AFFIRM mechanism to support risk management in the Mekong region and to build regional forest fire expertise through the FFMA initiative. We are also actively engaging Global Fire Management Hub. Fire resilience is closely linked to GFG Target 1.4. We hope the UNFF will provide an enhanced global collaboration on this urgent issue. Korea remains committed to forest restoration and climate action in line with UNSPF and the global forest goals. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Korea. Now, I would like to invite the representative of Malaysia, followed by Japan. Malaysia, you have the floor, please.
Delegates, ladies and gentlemen, as one of the 17 megadiverse countries, Malaysia hosts 70% of the world's known species. Malaysia recognizes the importance of forests in maintaining ecological balance, regulating climate and water cycle. Malaysia has consistently upheld the commitment made during the Earth Summit in 1992 to maintain at least 50% of the country land area under forest and tree cover. As of now, 54.31% or 17.97 million hectares of Malaysia land is still covered by forest. Our primary challenges in forest and biodiversity conservation include deforestation due to infrastructure development and settlements. The lack of adequate financial resources and technological capabilities often hinders the effective monitoring of our country ecosystems. To overcome these challenges, Malaysia has implemented policies and initiatives which include the Malaysia Policy on Forestry, National Policy on Biological Diversity 2022-2030, Southern Forest Spines and Heart of Borneo initiative, which aim to enhance connectivity between forest areas, strengthening the enforcement of forest conservation law by amending the National Forestry Act 1984, and engaging in reforestation projects such as Greening Malaysia and tree planting initiatives with mangroves and other suitable species along nation coastlines. We believe that international organizations have a critical role to play in facilitating access to SFM technologies and fostering global collaboration for knowledge exchange, capacity building, and funding for ecosystem conservation. This will ensure that national policies are guided by the latest scientific insights and effective practices. Financing is crucial for scaling up our forest and biodiversity conservation efforts. Malaysia would like to suggest that financial institutions, such as the World Bank and the GF, to invest more to protect our ecosystem. Malaysia would like to urge the global community to step up effort towards conservation activities, such as reforestation and afforestation, to increase ecosystem protection through the exchange of technology, capacity building, and financial assistance. Lastly, we would like to encourage enhanced participation of various stakeholders, including non-governmental organizations, indigenous peoples, and the private sector, to ensure that the policies and strategies developed are more comprehensive and protect our ecosystem. I thank you.
Thank you, Malaysia. Now, I would like to invite Japan, followed by Turkey. Japan, you have the floor, please. Japan, you are microphone. Please start from the beginning.
Sorry. First, I'd like to thank the UNFF Secretariat and Bureau members for their efforts in organizing this session. Japan has rich forests, which account for about 70% of its land area. 40% of these forests are planted forests. We are implementing sustainable forest management based on the forest planning systems. Also maintains natural forest with continuous monitoring and integrated forest management in close collaboration with national forests and private forests. As for our priority, we are working to prevent or mitigate mountain disasters by designation by designating the protection forest with restriction of logging and land development, and installing forest conservation facilities. The State of the World Forest Survey 2024, published by FAO, pointed out that climate change is making forests more vulnerable to stressors such as wildfire and pests. In Japan too, heavy rainfall is becoming more intense and frequent, causing mountain disasters to become more severe and changing their patterns. The United Nations SPF 2017 to 2030 also stressed strengthening of the resilience and adaptive capacity of all types of forests to natural disasters and impact of climate change in the Global Forest Goal 1. For our context, enhancing mountainous disaster prevention measures such as soil conservation function of forests and effectively developing forest conservation facilities are quite important for securing regional safety. As for forest fires, more than 99% of these affect less than 10%. However, under adverse conditions such as dry air and strong winds, these forest fires are at risk of becoming large-scale. In February of this year, approximately 3,000 hectares were severely damaged. We are tackling restoring the damaged forests to their pre-fire rich forest. Lastly, we'd like to emphasize the importance of seeking synergy through collaboration with other countries and CPF and its member organizations. We'll continue to work with FAO, ITTO, JICA, and other partners to ensure conservation and sustainability of the world forest. Thank you.
Thank you, Japan. I think the Secretariat is asking to send all the speaking to the email list. Can you show the page again, Secretariat? Yeah, later, after. Okay, thank you, Japan. Now, in my list, I see Turkey, followed by Jamaica. Turkey, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, distinguished delegates. Turkey is honored to contribute to discussion on implementation of UNSPF and outcomes of the midterm review of the International Arrangement on Forests. We commend the UNFF Secretariat for its continued leadership and support to member states in achieving the global forest goals. As regards the implementation of the UNCPF, Turkey has made a tangible progress in advancing the 6 global forest goals and their associated targets. Our national forest policy priorities, sustainable forest management, climate resilience and biodiversity conservation, and rural development through forest-based livelihoods. Through long-standing afforestation, erosion control, and fire management programs, Turkey has increased its forest cover by over 2 million hectares since 2002. As part of our national strategy, we also integrate forest-based bioeconomy principles and ecosystem services into development planning. Around 45% of the Turkey forests are internationally certified. Sustainable use of non-wood forest products has also been playing a key role in rural development, contributing nearly around $1 billion to our economy and supporting over 500,000 jobs. Recently, Turkey has ramped up efforts to reduce waste and become far more environmentally friendly. Since 2070, NEV recycling campaign has saved over 500 million trees and more than millions tons of cartons and paper products were recycled. Turkey welcomes the finding of the midterm review and support the call to strengthen synergy among forest-related conventions and initiatives, enhance regional and interregional cooperation, and scale up resource mobilization and capacity building, particularly for developing countries. We recognize the need for better data integration, increased visibility of forest issues at the global level, and enhanced coordination with UNCCD, CBD, and UNFCCC. In response to rising global threats from the forest fires, Turkey will declare the country-led initiative on forest fires preparedness and innovative technologies and work schedule This initiative, aligned with the UNCPF and supported by partners including FAO and UNFF Secretariat, aims to promote integrated fire management and enhance international cooperation. Turkey believes that next phase of UNCPF implementation should emphasize nature-based solution to forest and land degradation, forest-related disaster risk reduction, science policy integration and inclusive forest governance, and new and innovative financing mechanism to support forests positive investments. We also stress the importance of engaging vulnerable youth, women group, and local communities as equal partners.
Thank you, Turkey. Now I see Jamaica in my list, followed by Chile. Jamaica, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Chair, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, good morning. Jamaica thanks the Secretariat for document E/CN.18/2025/2, which per paragraph 5 frames the UNFF20 as a technical session dedicated to Global Forest Goals 1, 3, and 5. Building on paragraph 6 to 1A, we outline 4 interlinked technical priorities and corresponding support requests. First, modern forest monitoring and data analytics. As encouraged in paragraph 6, we have institutionalized drone surveys across inventories, boundary verification, enforcement, and reforestation audits. With UNDP PAF support, or forthcoming forest monitoring and reporting platform will automate data uploads, analytics, and FAO UNFCC compatible biomass carbon reporting. Later this fiscal year, under the IDB's Blue Carbon MRV mechanism, we'll pilot terrestrial laser scanning to capture fine-scale 3D forest parameters. To convert these data into actionable management, we're working to develop forest quality indices and to finalize our national forest reference emission levels by year-end. Jamaica therefore requests technical assistance in these endeavors, thereby advancing our RED+ readiness journey. Second, governance and traceability. In line with paragraph 28 on emergent finance architectures, funding through BioPalm has facilitated the deployment of a pilot rapid response mechanism to violation notifications. Recognizing that our timber traceability system is nascent, we seek technical partners, expertise, and advice to fully elaborate and integrate this tool to ensure legality from forest to market, both for local and international purposes. Third, dryland forest resilience. As highlighted on the agenda, item 6, paras 52 to 56, our dry limestone forests host unique endemics but face risks associated with droughts and wildfires. With the support of Canada's Catalyst Plus, we will finalize a revised National Forest Fire Management Plan this year. Fourth, blue-green carbon finance, noting paragraphs 29, COP 29, greater than US $300 billion goal, that offers new opportunities. Jamaica's revised NDC prioritizes mangrove rehabilitation and seagrass conservation, yet gaps in accounting and market access persists. We therefore urge the Global Forest Financing Facilitation Network to establish a small island access window with tailored training for SIDS. Jamaica stands ready to share data, pilot sites, and lessons learned, and to transform the strategic plans, technical ambitions into measurable progress. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamaica. Now I see Chile in my list, followed by Algeria. Chile, you have the floor, please.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Chile has made ambitious commitments in its voluntary national contributions, including the restoration of over 1 million hectares of forests and reducing our greenhouse gas emissions. These commitments are aligned with the global objective of increasing forest surface by 3% by 2030. This is equivalent to 120 million hectares, as established in the UN Strategic Plan for Forests. Since 2013, the National Forestry Corporation that is being replaced by the recently adopted National Forestry Service has headed up the RED+ program through the National Strategy on Climate Change and Resources. This strategy includes adaptation and mitigation actions, promoting the sustainable management of forests, and contributing to fulfillment of the Sustainable Development Goals. The Forest Project, headed up by this body, has led 470 projects in the Maule and Los Lagos regions with an inclusive approach including women, indigenous peoples and other vulnerable communities. These projects seek to sustainably management more than 25 million hectares of native forests for 2026, contributing to the national goal of the restoration and protection of ecosystems. Chile's forests represent a third of the temperate forests of the southern hemisphere and host unique species like the alerce, which is one of the trees that lives the longest on the planet. We're a hotspot of biodiversity, and these hotspots are essential for the global ecological balance. The protection of forests is essential for the future of the planet. Chile's efforts are fully aligned with the global forest goals, and we will continue to work in collaboration with the international community to ensure that our forests continue to be a vital source of life and well-being for all. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, distinguished delegates of Chile. Now I would like to invite Algeria, followed by Burundi. Algeria, you have the floor. Fadlan.
شكرا السيد الرئيس. تولي الجزائر.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We attach the greatest importance to the global forest goals, particularly 3 and 5. Because of its geographic position, Algeria is in between zones that are most vulnerable to climate change. We're trying to protect our forest cover through national policies. My delegation would like to share our positions. First, we launched a project for the rehabilitation and expansion of green covers to promote sustainable development by creating barriers, protecting from desertification, and assisting local economies, particularly small and medium enterprises and women-led enterprises in rural areas. Algeria has enacted a law to deter individuals who damage forests and degrade forestry resources. We also have a special project to fight illegal management of forests and have planted more than 160 million units of new forests as part of our afforestation and reforestation effort. We have also launched multi-pronged struggle against forest fires and put in place a monitoring system to safeguard forests and ensure an early alert system for forest fire vulnerabilities. We have worked with civil society stakeholders in these efforts to promote the protection of forestry resources. This is part of our national economic strategy, particularly sustainable forest management is integrated in our national planning priorities. It's a strategy that's part of the framework law to promote the implementation of sustainable development goals in Algeria and internationally, to fight forest degradation, promote reforestation in accordance with the objectives put forward. Thank you very much.
Shukran jaziran. Now I see Burundi in my list, followed by China. Burundi, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Chair, and congratulations on your election. Burundi welcomes the progress accomplished in implementing the UN Strategic Plan for Forests. It's an ambitious framework plan designed to preserve the vital function of forests, which is the source of carbon as well as subsistence and biodiversity, to fight deforestation, land degradation, and counteract climate change. We underscore the importance of strengthening international cooperation for sustainable financing of forest management and technology transfer, particularly through the United Nations Voluntary Trust Fund, particularly valuable for developing countries that have structural constraints. Burundi has integrated in its vision the plan to become an emerging country by 2040 and a developed country by 2060, inter alia through restoring our forest cover to make sure it makes up 10% of the land, which is our contribution to national development as well as the preservation of existing forests the world over to promote biodiversity. In this context, I call for all states to contribute to the United Nations Fund for funding the UN Forum on Forests, in particular through strengthening the forum at the highest level by generating political will, talking about emerging challenges, would like to emphasize the interconnection between forests and current global crises, climate, biodiversity, food, and pandemics. An integrated, truly international response is indispensable. Finally, we congratulate the Forum Secretariat for its initiative to set up a pavilion on forests in Azerbaijan during the COP, and would like to ask the Secretariat to pursue this initiative for future COP meetings to bring together all stakeholders. In conclusion, Mr. Chair, preserving forests is preserving our common future. Burundi is committed to working with our partners in that regard.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Excellency, for joining us. Allow me to introduce the dear colleagues, Mr. Mani Ratanga, His Excellency, the Ambassador of Burundi, was the former chair of UNFF session, 19th session. So he did very great job. Thank you so much, Mr. President. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, I see China in my list, followed by Botswana. China, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Chair. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of the Chinese delegation, I wish to express our heartfelt thanks to the Bureau and the UNFF Secretariat for your efforts and professionalism in organizing this session. In particular, following UNFF20, the Secretariat has advanced the integration of forest-related issues into global processes, including UNFCCC and CBD, in line with the outcomes of the midterm reviews of the IAF. These efforts have significantly enhanced synergies within the global forest governance system and underscored the strategic value of forest in implementing sustainable development worldwide. China has consistently supported the core mandates of the UNFF through concrete actions for over 10 years. We have made voluntary contributions to the UNFF trust funds, in particular with support to capacity building for developing countries in forest financing. Since 2017, we have sponsored officials and experts from the South to participate in seminars annually on the implementation of the UN Forest Instrument for developing countries, sharing knowledge and lessons learned on sustainable forest management. In November 2024, at COP29 to the UNFCCC, China supported the UNFF Secretariat in organizing activities at the Forest Pavilion. As a member of the organizing committee, we worked with co-led partners in the development of the program under the theme of solving the forest finance puzzle in the Paris Agreement era, deepening the integration of forest actions with climate change agenda over the past year. Through formal and informal consultations with the UNFF Secretariat, we have made substantive progress in establishing and making operational the office in Beijing for the GFFF, we remain fully committed to advancing the consultation to inject new momentum into GFFN's operation at the earliest opportunity. In addition to support monitoring, assessment, and reporting of the UNFF, we have started the development of China's national report on the implementation of the UNSPF. Through this, we hope we can systematically summarize China's innovative practices in sustainable forest management and progress towards the global forest goal, contributing to global forest governance. As the thematic priority of this session include Global Forest Goal 1, 3, and 5, to fulfill these goals, China has adopted innovative actions in line with our national conditions. Pilot programs are spearheading nationwide transition to sustainable forest management with innovative tending models through for young and middle-aged forests, improving per unit area stock volume, and fostering quality-driven outcomes. The microphone has been cut off.
Thank you, China. I see Botswana in my list, followed by Mongolia. Botswana, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Chair. Allow me to thank the Director of the UNFF Secretariat and the Bureau for organizing the documents, and also I would like to congratulate the Russian Federation for making it to the Bureau. To show its commitment to the biodiversity conservation, Botswana has incorporated actions on dryland forests into its nationally determined contributions, NDC, the National Biodiversity Framework, action plans, and land degradation neutrality target setting. In the same vein, Botswana has also indicated the significant core benefits across climate change mitigation and adaptation, biodiversity conservation, and land restoration goals under the 3 conventions, that is UNFFCCC, CBD, and UNCCD, during the submission of its VNC. Botswana has also aligned the above national actions and targets related to other international forest-related commitments and goals. The submission of the VNC from Botswana show the interrelations of the above conventions. Furthermore, Botswana aspires to have a healthy ecosystem that supports the economy, livelihood, and cultural heritage, as well as enhance resilience to climate change. This is outlined in Botswana's National Vision of 2036 under the pillar of sustainable environment. We believe that since the UNFF is the only platform for promoting afforestation issues, this is where synergies would be generated. In the days to come, we commit to share our experiences. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much.
I see in my list that the next 5 speakers are Mongolia, Argentina, India, Saudi Arabia, and Ghana. Now, I would like to invite Mongolia, followed by Argentina. Mongolia, you have the floor, please.
Mr. Chair, Excellencies and distinguished delegates, let me begin by expressing our gratitude to the Secretariat of the United Nations Forest Forum for organizing this important session and for continuously advancing the global forest agenda. Forests are not only the lungs of our planet, but they are also the roots of sustainable development, climate resilience, and the well-being of the generations to come. Mongolia is a country characterized by vast steppes, deserts, and fragile ecosystems. It is on the front lines of climate change and desertification. Forests, though limited in our territory, play a vital role in combating land degradation, preserving biodiversity, and ensuring sustainable livelihoods for rural communities. In recognition of this, Mongolia has launched an ambitious national movement, the Billion Trees National Initiative, declared by our President of Mongolia in 2021. This campaign aims to plant 1 billion trees by 2030 with participation from the government, private sector, local communities, and international partners. It's more than a reforestation effort. It is a national mobilization for environmental stewardship and green recovery. We are pleased to report that implementation is well underway. As of today, over 85 million trees have been planted across the country, with a growing emphasis on native species, community-based forest management, and science-based monitoring. This campaign also integrates afforestation with employment, education, and technology, empowering youth and women as forest stewards, and utilizing satellite monitoring and AI to ensure transparency and effectiveness. Excellencies, the objectives of the Billion Trees Initiative are closely aligned with the UN Strategic Plan for Forests and Global Forest Goals, with strong potential for synergies in the following areas. Collaboration on forest restoration and dryland ecosystems, especially under Global Forest Goal 1. Second, technical partnerships in forest monitoring, climate adaptation, and combatant certification. Policy coherence, particularly linking national forest programs, our NDCs under Paris Agreement, and our commitments under the UNCCD CBD. We believe that UNFF can serve as a platform to scale up such a national effort through knowledge exchange, funding facilitation, and soft-to-soft cooperation. Mongolia stands ready to contribute to and learn.
Thank you, distinguished delegates of Mongolia. Now, I see in my list Argentina, followed by India. Argentina, you have the floor, please.
Señor Presidente.
Chairman, the Argentine Republic appreciates this opportunity to participate in this 20th session of the UN Forum on Forests because of how relevant forests are for the environment and the well-being of our communities. Therefore, Argentina reaffirms its commitment to the preservation of forests through the work of the Forest Directorate of the Agricultural Authority of the Argentine Republic. This entity is responsible for designing and implementing policies that seek to balance productivity with environmental sustainability and forest regulation. Currently, the country has approximately 1.3 million hectares of managed forests, which reflects our effort to promote sustainable development and the adequate management of natural resources. It must be recalled that Argentina, through the National Directorate for Industrial Forest Management of the Secretariat for Agriculture, Ranching and Fisheries, is engaging in a lot of activities when it comes to managed forests. This directorate is responsible mainly for designing and implementing policies, plans and programs in the areas of the production, development, audit, quality, health, industrialization and certification and regulation in forests and the forest industry, striking a balance between productivity, environmental sustainability, and the sustainability of natural resources and territorial distribution. This office is also responsible for overseeing the implementation of Law 25080, and both regimes provide predictability, fiscal and legal incentives for 30 years to attract investment projects, in both cases providing incentives for entrepreneurship in the area of forests and forest industries. Chair, Argentina recalls that we appreciate multilateralism based on the principles of consultation and inclusion of different points of view, ensuring that all stakeholders have the same rights and obligations. We also underscore the importance of international cooperation respecting the national priorities and circumstances of each country. In this regard, each country has the sovereign right to implement its national public priorities. Furthermore, we recall that we dissociated ourselves from the Pact for the Future when it was adopted and considers that the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, although it may be well-intentioned, is made up of non-legally binding aspirations that each state in the exercise of its sovereignty has the right to freely interpret and pursue. Finally, we wish to underscore that Argentina will always support efforts of the international community to protect the environment and that promote, as long as they promote equitable treatment, avoiding arbitrary and unjustified discrimination, and ensuring that they are not covert restrictions to international trade. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Argentina. Now I would like to invite India, followed by Saudi Arabia. India, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. India extends its sincere appreciation to the UNFF Secretariat for organizing the 20th session of the forum. India also reaffirms its commitments to the UNSPF and the achievement of the global forest goals. India has made substantial progress in expanding its forest and tree cover to 25.17% of its geographical area, as per the latest biennial India State of Forest Report. Further, according to the State of World's Forest Report 2024, released by FAO, India ranks third globally in the net forest area gain, achieving an average annual increase of 266,000 hectares between 2010 and 2020. Mr. Chairperson, our Plant for Mother campaign draws a parallel between nurturing Mother Earth and our own mothers. During the campaign in the last year, we have planted more than 1.4 billion saplings across the country, and we urge all nations to participate in this movement to restore the degraded landscapes. Recognizing the critical role of ecosystems in combating desertification, India has launched the Aravali Green Wall project, aimed at restoring approximately 1.5 million hectares of degraded land in the Aravali Hill Ranges alone. This initiative strengthens the natural barrier against desertification and also creating a barrier from sand and dust being blown into agricultural and urban landscape. Mr. Chairperson, in coastal conservation, India has prioritized the protection and the restoration of mangrove ecosystem, which serve as a natural shield against climate events and support biodiversity. Over the last decade, India's mangrove cover has grown by 7.86%, accounting for 3% of the global mangroves. Our mangrove initiatives aims at conserving and restoring about 540 square kilometers of mangrove areas. On the wildlife front, the International Big Cat Alliance seeks to create a global platform for knowledge exchange, capacity building, best practice sharing, and coordinated efforts to safeguard big cat habitats and populations. India invites member states, particularly big cat ranges countries, to join the initiative. Mr. Chairperson, forest fires pose a major threat to biodiversity, wildlife habitat, and the livelihood of forest-driven communities. The forest fire alert systems have significantly helped us in early detection, prevention, and suppression of forest fires through real-time satellite monitoring, combined with community participation and coordinated response mechanism. Mr. Chairperson, recognizing the critical role of financial resources, India stresses the need for enhanced, predictable, and innovative financing mechanism to support the implementation of global forest goals and KMGBF targets. India has updated its national biodiversity targets fully aligned with KMGBF goals and targets. India emphasizes that conservation.
Thank you, India. Now I would like to invite Saudi Arabia, followed by Ghana. Saudi Arabia, you have the floor, please.
Mr. Chairman, members of the United Nations Forum on Forests Secretariat, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to first thank you and express my appreciation to you for your distinguished efforts to preserve forests around the world. Your hard work greatly contributes to the protection of these vital natural resources and towards enhancing by environmental sustainability and improving the lives of societies and communities that rely on forests. Sir, I'd like to thank you for accepting the call by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in the last session to table the Drylands Initiative on the agenda of this session due to the importance of dryland forests that constitute a quarter of the forest areas throughout the world. And the challenges that they face require rapid and effective solutions to protect them, develop them, and guarantee their sustainability. Based on the above, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia confirms its commitment towards the achievement of the international environmental objectives that have been stipulated by international conventions such as the 3 Rio Conventions. And therefore, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has launched the Saudi Green Initiative in 2021, which aims to plant 10 billion plants, or the equivalent of restoring 40 million hectares of degraded land. Moreover, we've launched a national forestation project to achieve these objectives with broad participation by the government, the private sector, and nonprofit organizations and local communities. More than 140 million trees have been planted since this initiative was launched. Moreover, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has launched the Middle East Green Initiative as the largest regional initiative that targets the planting of 50 billion trees, which is equivalent to restoring 200 million hectares of degraded land. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia also hosts international events such as the UNCCD's COP16 and the World Environment Day of 2024. Moreover, it is seeking to host the 27th session of the Near East Forest and Pasture Commission. All of this confirms the Kingdom's interest in moving forth in the achievement of environmental objectives. In closing, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is working on developing and preserving forests and restoring degraded lands and protecting them from threats, and this is all part of our national strategic plan. We call upon the Forum to exert more efforts to preserve forests around the world, especially dryland forests, and to develop them for the sake of sustainability. Due attention must be given to integrating forests in national policies, enhancing their sustainable management, empowering local communities, investing and providing financial support, bolstering regional cooperation and partnerships, and expanding the scope of nature-based solutions. I thank you, sir.
Shukran Jaziran, Sayyid Najab. No, I see Ghana in my list, followed by Cote d'Ivoire. Ghana, you have the floor, please.
Mr. Chairman, Ghana wishes to express its sincere gratitude to the Bureau and Secretariat for organizing this session of the UNFF. And Ghana associates itself with a statement made by Morocco on behalf of the African Group. Mr. Chairman, during the technical discussion session, we wish to highlight some of the measures Ghana has taken to accelerate the achievement of the goals and targets under the UN Global Forest Goals on Forest. Ghana initiated several government-led tree planting initiatives and also facilitated private sector investment in forest restoration interventions from 2021 to 2024, which resulted in the establishment of a total of 82,000 hectares of forest plantations, 9,200 hectares of enrichment planting within degraded forest reserves, and we integrated native tree species within an estimated 157,000 hectares of agricultural landscapes. The total area, therefore, put under restoration over the period is approximately 248,000 hectares. This, indeed, is a significant contribution to the global effort to fight climate change, as well as contribute to Target 3 of the CBD post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework. This year, as part of the International Day of Forest celebration, the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, launched the Tree for Life Restoration Initiative to plant an estimated 30 million trees annually through public and private investments to restore our degraded forest landscapes. Government is promoting stakeholder participation, targeting forest range communities, private sector, government agencies, civil society, and the general public to restore degraded forests and riverine landscapes. This will enhance our efforts to mitigate climate change impacts and conserve biodiversity. This year again, government has stepped up law enforcement efforts to effectively address deforestation and forest degradation, especially the fight against illegal mining, while undertaking effective stakeholder engagement and education aimed at behavioral and attitudinal change, and promoting sustainable alternative livelihood and job creation options. As part of our efforts to strengthen sustainable forest management and good governance practices, Ghana is now set to issue FLEGT licenses for timber and timber products bound to the European Union by June 30th of this year, thus becoming the first country in Africa and the second in the world to export to the EU market legal timber from responsibly managed forest. We look forward to fruitful deliberations today and in the days ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Ghana. Now, I see Cote d'Ivoire in my list, followed by United Kingdom. Cote d'Ivoire, you have the floor, please.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Cote d'Ivoire would like to congratulate the Forum on all the efforts undertaken to implement the strategic plan. We're committed to continuing these efforts. My country adopted its own strategy to expand forest cover to 20% of national territory, and I would like to share with the Forum news of a major event. Côte d'Ivoire and the European Union decided in 2013 to start negotiations on a voluntary partnership agreement for the application of forestry regulations, governance of commercial exchanges of timber and forestry projects between the European Union and our country to fight illegal forestry and associated trade, guarantee the sustainability of the forest cover in Côte d'Ivoire. After many years of negotiations, the two parties signed an agreement on 19th February 2024. It was ratified by the European Union on the 29th April 2024 and by Côte d'Ivoire on 30th September 2024 and entered into force on May 1st of this year as a result of mutual notification by the parties. Since the signing of the agreement, efforts were launched to mobilize support for the implementation of actions already underway, specifically development and testing of a national system for the verification of legality and traceability of timber. In the following phases, we will operationalize the system to deliver authorization and providing a public certificate of legality for timber deliveries. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you.
Now I invite United Kingdom, followed by Costa Rica. United Kingdom, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Chair. Distinguished delegates, we look forward to discussions with you all this week, and we're grateful to the work of the Secretariat and Bureau in preparing for this meeting. Since we last met, a new UK government has been elected. It has underscored its support for efforts to halt and reverse deforestation and forest degradation by 2030, and to achieve that in partnership domestically and internationally. In relation to the UN Strategic Plan for Forests 2030, and in particular Global Forest Goal 1, the UK has long been a champion of this goal, seeking to embed it in multilateral agendas related to development, nature and climate, including through our COP26 presidency. In the UK, woodland now covers 13.4% of our total land area. Between 2021 and 2024, we created over 60,000 hectares of new woodland, and in England, we introduced a legally binding target to increase tree cover to 16.5% by 2050. This year, the UK government announced the establishment of the Western Forest, aiming to plant 20 million trees over 2,500 hectares by 2030. Turning to Global Forest Goal 3, we're working to increase protected and sustainably managed forests. Forests in the UK are legally protected by various acts controlling tree felling and balancing timber production with environmental protection. New legislation announced in December 2024 will strengthen the purpose and governance of our national parks and national landscapes in England, supporting them to play a leading role in meeting net zero and Environmental Act targets. In relation to Global Forest Goal 3, the UK Forestry Standard, updated in October 24, guides sustainable forest management, and currently 44% of UK forests are FSC and PEFC certified. Internationally, the UK focuses on supporting sustainable stewardship of forest ecosystems for climate, nature and people. We champion the importance of forests and work with partners to scale finance, strengthen forest governance and promote sustainable trade and markets. The Forest and Climate Leaders Partnership, co-chaired by the UK and Guyana, supports this international agenda, including the role of Indigenous people and local communities, promoting sustainable timber in construction, and scaling finance through high-integrity forest carbon markets. The UK is investing in research, science and innovation to support forest expansion. sustainable management and tree health. And we will continue to work collaboratively with our international.
Thank you, UK. Dear colleagues, allow me to ask you a favor. Here we can see a lot of very good statements, wonderful statements, but please send them as of your national report to the Secretariat. So this is really important. You receive your official report for the benefit of UNFF. Thank you so much for all your contribution. Thank you. Now I see Costa Rica in my list, followed by Guatemala. Costa Rica, you have the floor, please.
Sí, gracias.
Thank you, distinguished chair, distinguished colleagues. We can't even begin to aspire to protect forests if we don't provide the people that work and live in forests with the minimum income that they need to meet their immediate needs, and ideally a bit more than that. In Costa Rica, we're working to make sure that we have more and more forests every day, so that we can thus achieve our commitment of having 60% of the country covered by forests. Looking not only at maintaining or improving the amount of forest coverage, but also trying hard to keep forests healthy. That's why we have developed the Programme for Sustainable Production in Agricultural Landscapes as a comprehensive way of achieving rural development, because it really would be quite naive of us to think that if our peasant farmers and small producers don't have the training, technical assistance and profitability they require for their work in farming and fishing to be sustainable, they wouldn't go instead into the forests and engage in unsustainable practices. This is the biggest threat that our forests face, and that's why our country is staunchly supporting the strategic approach of the Forum. Costa Rica reaffirms its commitment to the Forum and is willing to provide our experiences to other countries, and this is something that enables us to say today that we have more forests than we had in the past. And we launched an appeal to the international community to provide financing on the long term to these measures in our countries, considering the benefit of forests and forest-based ecosystems for the entire world. Thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you, Costa Rica. Now I would like to invite Guatemala, followed by Australia. Guatemala, you have the floor, please.
Señor Presidente.
Chairman, distinguished delegates, it's an honor for Guatemala to participate in this 20th session of the UN Forum on Forests. We represent a country with a huge amount of biological and forest biodiversity. We recognize the essential role of forests in the fight against climate change and achieving food security and sustainable development. Of course, we face challenges such as deforestation, forest fires, and pressure on natural resources. However, despite this, we have made progress in strengthening forest governance, the conservation and use of our ecosystems. Guatemala, through state institutions, in particular the National Institute for Forests and the Ministry for Natural Resources, is promoting state policies and strategies that promote an increase in forest coverage, restoring landscapes, and the sustainable management of forests and rural management. In particular, we have national programs to allocate 1.5% of our national budget to these endeavors. We have the Biosfera Maya, which is a recognized model. It's an international benchmark combining conservation with economic development. We have a body on forest fires to help areas to recover after fires. Chairman, We strongly believe that forest sustainability requires strengthening local capacities, access to fair finance and collaboration between the public and private sectors, working with communities and indigenous peoples. We thus launch an appeal to the international community to ramp up technical and financial support to developing countries who are working to preserve and conserve our forests. We reiterate our commitment to the Sustainable Development Agenda and to other international endeavours on forests. We are promoting sustainable productive models, reaffirming our commitment to restoring ecosystems and achieving climate resilience. We're grateful for this space for dialogue and cooperation that is enabling us to work together towards forests as pillars of well-being, resilience, and sustainability for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Guatemala. Now I want to invite Australia, followed by Armenia. Australia, you have the floor, please.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chair, UNF Secretariat, and all involved in organising this important meeting of the UNFF. Firstly, I'd like to share our optimism for this week of technical session deliberations. This is our opportunity, as many other delegations have said, to pave our path of ongoing work to successfully meet our global forest goals. Australia is firmly committed to the implementation of the UNSPF and the realisation of the global forest goals, and continues to strengthen our international efforts and domestic policies in support of these. Australia was committed to the IAF midterm review process and looks forward to constructive and focused discussions on the Secretariat's information paper on workload needs and gaps, and to ensure that the forum's priorities are delivered effectively, collaboratively and transparently. Australia continues to increase our forest cover and now counts 134 million forested hectares across our continent, making us the 6th most forested nation globally. We look forward to productive discussions over the week ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Australia. Now I would like to invite Armenia, followed by Colombia. Armenia, you have the floor, please.
Mr. Chair, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, it's an honor to participate and address the 20th session of the UN Forum on Forest on behalf of the Republic of Armenia. Armenia fully recognizes the vital role of forests in climate resilience, biodiversity conservation, and sustainable development. For us, forests are not just part of our natural environment, they are closely tied to our culture, our economy, and the well-being of communities across the country. That's why over the past years, Armenia has made forest governance a top priority. We have undertaken reforms to improve the governance and sustainability of our forest sector. In particular, forest management plans for 14 forest enterprises have been adopted, and remaining 3 management plans will be adopted soon. Alongside this, we have updated national procedures for afforestation and reforestation and approved new criteria and indicators for sustainable forest management. An important institutional change is the adoption of the law on eco-patrol service. This law enables systematic environmental enforcement across Armenia. Its phased implementation is now underway. Through a 24/7 working system, it will allow uninterrupted control and fast response to detected violations, forest fires, and their prevention. It addresses the protection of biodiversity and natural ecosystems in the protected areas of nature and forests. Additionally, we are finalizing and updating legislation, including the law on climate and law on flora, and revising the law on specially protected areas of nature for further strengthening our legal framework for forest and biodiversity protection. To address ecosystem valuation more directly, Armenia's NBSUP integrates restoration of degraded ecosystems and pilot program for payments for ecosystem services. Our NBSUP is now under finalization. As you are aware, Armenia has been elected to host the COP17 of the UNCBD in 2026. This is both a great responsibility and a significant honor for our country, not only in terms of organizing a successful, inclusive, and efficient international conference to further advance global environmental efforts, but also to lead by example in implementing our own obligations under the CBD and the KMGBA framework. Armenia is deeply committed to continuing its work to protect forests and biodiversity, both nationally and internationally. Thank you.
Thank you, Armenia. Now I would like to invite Colombia, followed by Economic Community of West African States. Colombia, you have the floor, please.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Chairman. At the outset, please allow me to congratulate you and the board for your efforts to convene and organise this forum. Colombia is a country with a huge amount of forests. We have close to 59 million hectares of natural forests that protect and safeguard the conservation of the ecological, cultural and ethnic biodiversity of our country. Our forests nevertheless face a threat today due to a loss of their ecological integrity, change in landscapes, deforestation, degradation, and the progressive loss of biodiversity. That's why we recognise in this forum a forum of excellence to address the trends and challenges that forests face when it comes to their conservation and sustainable management. In light of this, we want to look towards the establishment of mechanisms, decisions and actions that, in addition to protecting and conserving forests, recognise the role of those that live in them. In this regard, we reaffirm our commitment to the fulfilment of the global forest goals and the strategy for 2030 that are perfectly aligned with domestic instruments such as the National Biodiversity Plan that was adopted during the COP16 in Cali, the NDCs, and our comprehensive strategy to control deforestation and to achieve forest management. The achievements here have enabled us to contain deforestation, to restore nature lost, and to support and provide direct finance for indigenous peoples, Afro-Colombian communities, black communities, and peasant farming communities that are the custodians of the forests. We are determined to act with determination based on our own realities and capacities in our different countries to engage in robust actions that can be turned into successful actions for the conservation of forests, and that's why we must align these with our climate policies. The urgency of the climate policy means that the urgency of the climate situation means that we cannot lapse into paralysis while we're losing our forests, and with them the biodiversity that they host. We hope that during this session we will continue to foster actions to restore nature lost, to generate a vision of economy and sustainable development for those that live in forests, and to ensure the continuity of ecosystem services. Our country is emphatic on the need to build innovative solutions and provide innovative financing that responds to the critical situation of vulnerable economies and current challenges, to mobilize resources from existing sources, and to launch an appeal to support processes for direct financing for indigenous peoples and local communities. Lastly, we reaffirm our commitment to reverse the loss of forest coverage globally. The speaker's microphone was cut off.
Thank you, Colombia. Now, I would like to invite the representative of Economic Community of West African States. Please, you have the floor.
Merci. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, let me first of all convey greetings from the ECOWAS Commission Chairman, Dr. Omar Aliou Touré. Now, on behalf of my delegation, I express gratitude to the Executive Director of UNFF, the Secretariat, and on behalf of the ECOWAS Commission, we welcome the focus of this 20th session on the multilateral system to provide responses to the current challenges with regard to the preservation of forests. In this context, my organization is committed to working with member states to deepen the process of restoration and reforestation to preserve life on our planet. Our vision, particularly with regard to the sustainable management of forests, is based on the ECOWAS strategy to promote regional programs for afforestation and reforestation, and the strategy to fight illicit trafficking in wild species, adopted in 23. Since 24, we have held consultations with member states with a view to revising our plan for forest convergence. The FRA 2020 report of FAO states that member states of ECOWAS have 74,446 million hectares of forest cover, to which we could add 70+ thousand of new woodland. About 3% of deforestation in Western Africa is a high rate, and it's due largely to climate change. Mr. Chair, ECOWAS has launched a number of projects to preserve forest cover, particularly the global transformation of forests for the people and the climate, which has made it possible to promote capacity building in communities in member states of ECOWAS. Currently, ECOWAS has invested in operational work to further safeguard our forestry resources and stop the damaging effect of climate change. In the same line, to provide recommendations to UNFF, we have launched a regional initiative for sustainable development and sustainable forest management.
Thank you. Thank you, the representative of Economic Community of West African States. Thank you so much. Now, I have two last speakers in my list. May I ask from the interpreters for being with us for a few minutes? Now, I would like to invite Madagascar, followed by a major group of for children and youth as the last speakers. So, Madagascar, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Madagascar is grateful to the Bureau and the Secretariat of the Forum for inviting us to the session and welcome all the efforts to implement the UN Strategic Plan on forests. We contribute to 5% of global biodiversity, and currently our marine and land biodiversity preservation measures cover a large proportion of national territory, and we are part of the ambitious coalition pursuing a goal of covering 30% of the planet via these efforts. We have launched a program to counteract deforestation as part of the Reforestation Initiative of Africa. Madagascar has committed itself to restoring 4 million hectares by 2030. To ensure the implementation of the national reforestation and afforestation strategy, the Ministry of Sustainable Development has set up a national committee for afforestation and reforestation, and we are going to host a forum on these efforts this year. Finally, Madagascar reiterates its commitment to sustainable development goals, and particularly the implementation of the United Nations Strategic Plan for Forests. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madagascar. Now, I want to invite the representative of Major Group for Children and Youth as the last speaker of our session. You have the floor, please.
Excellencies, distinguished delegate, and esteemed colleagues. It is an honor to address this 20th session of the United Nations Forum on Forest. As the focal point for children and youth, I am speaking on behalf of the major group and other stakeholders, which includes, amongst others, business and industry, NGOs, indigenous peoples, women, farmers, small forest landowners, the scientific community, and local authorities. This statement has been coordinated through our newly established internal coordination mechanism. We represent diverse voices, perspectives, and experiences united by a shared commitment to the sustainable management and conservation of all types of forest. We stand at a critical juncture relying on our forest while facing global challenges such as deforestation, forest degradation, biodiversity loss, climate change, and increasing demand on this vital ecosystem. As the African proverb says, when the last tree dies, the last man dies. We must never forget the interconnectedness of human survival with our forest. However, I regret to inform you that many of my fellow stakeholders cannot attend this UNFF session due to inability to obtain funding and the visa to travel to the New York. The major group and other stakeholders are not just observers, we are active participants, innovators, and custodians of forest ecosystem. Over the past year, we have stepped up to deliver on commitment made last year at UNFF. We are united and stronger because we have revitalized our way to work together in this challenging time. The success of the UNFF vital work hinges on meaningful and inclusive participation. We bring to this forum our views on collaborative action to contribute constructively to the discussion and to offer solutions rooted in our diverse expertise. We call on you to listen and work with us. We urge early and consistent engagement with stakeholders. The major group and other stakeholders will be involved from the early planning and preparation stages and throughout forest-related policy implementation and monitoring phases at all levels. Make us a core partner. We are ready to engage in collaborative dialogue, share our insight, and work together towards a future where forests thrive and all enjoy the benefit of these vital ecosystems. Let us move forward with renewed determination, transforming words into concrete action and securing a sustainable forest for forest and humanity. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we have thus heard the last speaker in the joint general discussion on agenda item 3, 4, and 6. Distinguished delegates, the forum will reconvene this afternoon here at 3 p.m. in the chamber in accordance with its program of work. Now I have two announcements for the side events. Allow me to invite on behalf of the organizers. Today we have two side events. One of them is being organized by Uzbekistan. It is in conference room 7. Very close to Vienna Cafe. It will be about afforestation and reforestation in line with sustainable forest management, organized by Uzbekistan, by the ministry. The second one is here, organized by Indonesia. It is about unlocking the potential of timber and bamboo in international trade through sustainable forest governance. So if you have time, please join them to see their side events. Is there any announcement, Madam Director? Can we? Okay. No, the meeting is adjourned to see here at 3 p.m.